Uh-huh. Well, it's raining now, but show must go on. Let's do this. Driving around the city can be a pain, especially when you're driving a lumbering SUV or pickup truck. Not only are the streets tight, but well, parking can be a hassle too. It's like trying to shave a beard with an axe. Well, you can do it, but it's not really the most ideal. So for those city commutes and the errands around town, well, the Kia Picanto is one of the most ideal cars to drive. Want to know more about this tiny car? Well, stick around and watch this full and very wet car review. Let's do this. Hello guys, I'm Regan and welcome back to another wet t-shirt contest, a car review. If you're new to my channel, I hope you click that subscribe button and become part of the Regan Strides family. If you're my subscriber already, sit back, relax, and enjoy the show. Oh yeah, and click that like button. Also special thanks to Kia Philippines for lending us the Kia Picanto EX for this weekend to do this review. If you have any inquiries for any Kia vehicles, you know the drill guys, just contact any of their dealers nationwide. The Kia Picanto is the smallest and most affordable Kia in the local lineup. It's meant for people who want a point A to B vehicle that offers a good level of comfort and drivability when you're going around town. Now this top spec Kia Picanto EX automatic we have here has a retail price of 745,000 Philippine pesos, which puts it at the same level as the other budget offerings. The Picanto may be the smallest Kia in the local lineup, but it's definitely no pushover when it comes to its design. The third generation Picanto sports the same tiger nose front grille here that can be found in the Rio, but this is not an actual grille. You see, it doesn't have any openings here, so it's really more of a design piece to keep in line with the tiger nose design language that Kia currently has. Now this Picanto also has a larger headlight housing here, and this is a halogen headlight assembly, and it's so large that it actually spans the entire length of your front fender. Now the top spec Picanto EX also has halogen fog lights as standard, and one of the design cues that I love about the Picanto is this large gaping opening on your front bumper, despite the fact that the actual hole for breathing duties is a lot smaller. Now the combination of this larger halogen headlight housing plus that wide open mouth on your front bumper gives it an impression as if it's a larger vehicle than it actually is. The side of the Picanto will show off just how tiny this vehicle is. At barely over 3.5 meters long and 1.5 meters wide, it's going to be one of the easiest cars to drive around in the city, let alone park in a tight mall parking area. I mean, even my 2018 Mazda MX-5 Miata is bigger than this thing. Now, you don't get any overhangs both in the front and back area because the wheels of the Picanto have been pushed way out to the corners such that this car will have some pretty go-kart levels of handling capabilities. Now, we also don't get any side turn signals here because Kia themselves just thought that this vehicle is so small that it doesn't really need side turn signals. Now, the wheels are also tiny. These are 14-inch wheels and they're wrapped in 65 series tires. And thankfully in this EX trim, in the top spec EX trim, we have a set of actual alloy wheels instead of steelies. Now the braking duties is handled by disc brakes up front and drum brakes at the back. And for your suspension, we have a MacPherson setup in the front and a torsion beam at the rear end. Ground clearance stands at a healthy 151 millimeters, which is practical enough to clear most of the city's potholes. Now the rear end of the Picanto is flat and pudgy because it doesn't really get any rear overhangs. Now having said that guys, we do get a C-shaped halogen taillights here, and we also have a pair of rear reflectors on your rear bumper. Now when you pop open the liftgate, you get access to 255 liters of trunk capacity, which is decent enough for one medium-sized luggage, as you can see, plus a small bag right beside it. Now, the Picanto also gets a donut spare tire for your peace of mind, and in case you need more space than 255 liters can allow, well, you could always tumble down the back seats, and that should grant you more space. The top-spec Picanto EX gets a larger 1.2-liter 4-cylinder gasoline engine that puts out 83 horses and 122 Newton-meters of torque. Now, this motor is bigger than the lower LX variant, which only gets a 1-liter 3-cylinder engine. This is also smoother than that 3-cylinder motor is. Now, the power is sent to the front wheels via a 4-speed automatic transmission. Whether you say it's archaic or dependable is entirely up to you. Now, that smaller engine displacement resulted in some pretty good fuel economy figures because I was able to hit 12 kilometers per liter in the city and 19 kilometers per liter in the highway. Alright guys, it's really raining hard now and we had to transfer locations here to a covered parking area in order to continue this review. Now guys, the Kia Picanto is meant to be a vehicle to take you from point A to B, and as such, well, you can't really expect much when it comes to its cabin amenities. Now, having said that though, Kia did throw in some goodies, especially in the areas which matter the most, like the infotainment system and the climate control. Now guys, you won't see any leather here, and that is a bit of good news, especially for cow lovers out there. The seats are all wrapped in cloth, and your steering wheel is also made of urethane. Now granted, we do get hands-free buttons here for connectivity, and the steering wheel also adjusts for tilt, but it doesn't really telescope. Pretty much expected, especially at this price segment. Now when you look at the instrument gauge cluster, it's a standard analog gauge cluster. We've got an analog tach and speedo, plus a tiny black and white multi-information display in the middle for your vital vehicle information. Now when you move over to the infotainment system, that's where the Picanto starts to punch above its weight. You see, we get a 7-inch touchscreen infotainment system here that comes with Apple CarPlay and Android Auto, plus it even has voice control. Now to put icing on the cake, well, this infotainment system also has the image of your reverse camera, and it even comes with guidelines. Now, it's been raining for like close to a week now. It's raining hard, and I've been driving this thing, and the good thing there is this reverse camera image is quite usable. It's quite decent even in the heavy rain. Now, when you go down to the climate control system, naturally, this is a manual climate control system, guys, but the air conditioning is really, really cold. I mean, just put it on the lowest setting, on number 1, and the cabin of this Picanto becomes a rolling refrigerator. Now, of course, we have here a couple of cup holders, which if we subject to our clean canteen test, where's my clean canteen? There you are. Here's my clean canteen, guys. You see, these 2 cup holders are semi-cup holders because they're not really a full circle. So that means that if you put my clean canteen there, it will actually fit. The problem with this is because it's not a full circle, my clean canteen could tip over like that. See? It just tipped over. So, yeah. I wouldn't say it's a pass. I'd say it's a fail because it's kind of cheated in the way because, yeah, it's not a full cup holder circle. Now, when you look at the gear shifter, guys, this gear shifter is a relic from the 1980s. This is a 4-speed automatic, and the design of this shifter is straight out from a vehicle from 1980. Yeah, at least we have low gear here, guys. We've got 1, 2, and 3. Those are the low gears, just in case you have to negotiate a steep mountain road, or in case you're going down from that same mountain road, you can pop it into D2 or D3. Now, from your archaic looking shifter here, we also have a standard regular handbrake, and aside from that, guys, well, when you look at the cabin of this Kia Picanto, you are really just surrounded with hard plastics, as expected in this price segment. The dashboard is hard plastic, the door cards, yep, everything is hard plastic. Now, there is an attempt to give it a playful nature by making some, the AC vents a little bit funkier than normal. Plus, you also have this matte silver trim right there in the middle dashboard. But yeah, overall, it's still a pretty somber feeling cabin. Pretty basic, no frills. Well, as expected from any budget mini hatchback. Now the Picanto is a mini hatchback, so the backseat space would naturally be tight. Now the mere fact that we even get a backseat here, well, it's a miracle already by itself. Now guys, I'm 5'6", and if somebody like me is driving in front, well, the backseat passengers would only get 3 inches worth of knee room and around 4 inches of headroom. Now the maximum number of occupants here at the back would be at 2 passengers only because, well, if you try to cram in a third person here in the middle, well, you might as well exchange faces. Now, being a budget offering, it's quite expected that we get 0 amenities here at the back. Alright guys, we're now driving the Kia Picanto EX Automatic on this really wet and rainy afternoon. And the first thing that I notice is the visibility. You see, despite being a very small car, a tiny car, we've got a good amount of visibility right here. The windshield up front is surprisingly large for such a small vehicle, and I love that the belt line here at the side is low enough that I've got a good and large window right here on my sides. So visibility-wise, this is one of the easier cars to drive out there on the road. Now for the steering and handling, I was quite surprised and, to be honest guys, blown away by this Kia Picanto. You see, this is surprisingly zippy and so fun to drive around in the city. The steering feel is also really good. In fact, it is much better than the steering feel that I experienced in the Kia Soluto. I mean, imagine that. We've got a pretty nice heft here, and we've got a good amount of response on your steering, and I don't detect any dead spots at all. Yeah, this thing feels like it can corner like it's on rails. See, like what we're gonna do here? Woo, yeah. Yeah, the steering response is really quite sharp, and I'm loving that about this Kia Picanto. Now when it comes to acceleration, well, despite having a tiny engine in this tiny car, this Picanto surprisingly has a good amount of low and grunt. Now the thing is, once you go up to 80 kilometers per hour, well, the Picanto seems to lose its breath, and that's because it only has 83 horses on tap. But if you're just driving around in the city, well, this thing can give you the right amount of power, well, the power that you need down low. And that would be quite useful, especially when you're climbing up steep roads or even my steep parking ramp. It was able to negotiate that steep parking ramp even in this slippery conditions quite well. Now when it comes to the NVH, well, you'd expect that being a budget offering, well, this thing might be noisy AF, but that's not really the case here. You see, in highway speeds, yes, you'd start to hear some wind noise coming into the cabin, but when you're just going around town like what we're doing now, well, I was quite surprised. This thing has a really good level of insulation, especially for a budget offering, and I love the fact that even the potholes, well, you know, we've magically sprouted potholes since it's been raining like close to a week already here in the Philippines. So yeah, when I go over the potholes, the car remains surprisingly composed. Some of the vibration gets transmitted inside the cabin, but it's not really too bone jarring. I was quite surprised that this Picanto can still give us a decent level of NVH. When it comes to driving such a tiny car, especially in a country like the Philippines where everybody favors like pickups, SUVs, and vans, well, you'd really want to have a good amount of safety features, and the Picanto has a long list of safety features. This Picanto EX has dual airbags and seat belts. Oh yeah, we also have ABS. So yeah, I really just hope that those dual airbags and the seatbelt and the ABS would be enough to keep you safe. Well, at least the EX gets dual airbags because the lower trim LX only has a driver's side airbag. Yeah, because, you know, your passenger's life doesn't really mean much, yeah? That's a joke, guys. That's a joke. Now overall guys, well, the Kia Picanto is a surprisingly peppy car around the city. You see, I expected this to give me an anemic drive, but well, it went beyond my expectations, guys. As long as you keep it around town, around the city, well, that wonderful gearing that they did with that 4-speed automatic transmission means that this thing could really zip around town and you wouldn't be left wanting as long as you keep your speeds, well, below 80 kilometers per hour. As far as sharp tools for the city go, the Kia Picanto can run with the best of them. The driving character of this vehicle matches its size. Small and peppy, eager to zip in and out of city traffic and even in tight spots. Now throw in that well-connected infotainment system plus that cold air conditioning and you've got a city car that can deliver in all of the relevant areas. Thanks for watching.